on, I understood that the conventional productivity systems are doomed to fail in my life. I've tried a lot of them over the years, and they worked for a couple of weeks, but then eventually my inner rebellion would always come out. And she's a feisty one. She doesn't like authority, rules, regulations. She doesn't like when people tell her what to do. She's a true anarchist in her heart. And so no matter what system I would try, she would always come out. And she would say things like, "Who are you to tell me what to do?" She would argue, "We only live once. Live a little. We're all gonna die. So create some memories. Live a full life. Enjoy your life. Let's go and do something spontaneous. Life is short. We should live it." As a result, when developing my own system that was inspired by the Agile framework that I saw being so effective at work, so when I was creating my own system, I knew that I had to do something about that inner rebellion. Otherwise, the system will be yet another system that will fail. And that's how I came up with the concept of a cool-off week. Just to make it clear, this is not the part of the official Agile framework, even though I think it should be. This is my own invention that I created for myself to address my own problem, to accommodate my inner rebellion. So what is a cool-off week? My sprints are 3 weeks in length. And then after every sprint, I take a week off. It doesn't mean I go on vacation every 4th week. I still go to work, I still show up, but I do the bare minimum, the maintenance level. I do the things that are required of me to do for this whole enterprise to not fall apart. During my cool-off week, I take the break from productivity, from doing extra, from trying to achieve a certain result, from going an extra mile, from improving things, from optimizing things. I still respond to customers, I still process orders, everything is happening, but there is no extra pushing that is coming. And as a result, I have a little bit more time. This is a break from a more rigid, intense, focused sprint that I had before. It's a break from any expectation of achievement, result, outcome, metric. I don't push myself to do anything extra during this week. When I had a full-time job, I still followed the same schedule. For 3 weeks, I was working on important big projects, tried to get them done before the end of the sprint, and then for the next sprint, I showed up to work, did the bare minimum to not get fired. They were impressed with the work that I did during the 3 weeks, and then they didn't mind if I went home a little earlier or if I took a longer lunch on my 4th week. No one really cared. So what's the point of a cool-off week? As I said, it's an opportunity for my inner rebellion to have it all. She can wake up whenever she wants, she can do spontaneous things, she can go to the movies in the middle of the day, she can work on whatever she wants, she doesn't have to follow a prioritized to-do list, she can do whatever she wants. There is no time blocking, no schedules, no rules. And the reason why is because during my sprints, I'm very focused, organized, disciplined. I'm trying to avoid distractions as much as possible. All the spontaneous ideas that I have, I try my best not to do them right away. I put them in my backlog and then review them later. It's a very tightly held state of being. And if you think about the word sprint, like when you run, when you sprint, that's how it should be. It's very intense and short. So I sprint for 3 weeks and then I need a break. Like you can't sprint indefinitely. So after an intense period of work, focused and disciplined, it's hard to do this for a long period of time. So you need to take a break. It's a small investment of time that first allows me to rest from my previous sprint and then to mentally and psychologically prepare and rejuvenate myself for the upcoming sprint. And this is my philosophical view on this. A long time ago, I kind of noticed this trend that people who work without breaks, like who are so disciplined and so organized and so go, 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 like the hustle culture bros, life works in a way where eventually they are forced to take a long break. So accidents happen, chronic illnesses, marriages fall apart, their businesses fail for some mysterious reason. I saw it happen time after time after time. And you probably saw it too. And so it's kind of like they didn't have a break for years and they accumulated that debt. Then life forced them to pay off that debt in a way where they had to take a much longer break. And I was like, I'm wondering if I can avoid all that drama because I don't want to go on that emotional roller coaster. So I was like, what if I have the breaks, but I have them on my own terms? I schedule them ahead of this extreme burnouts and depressions and overwhelm and all of that. What would happen? And great things happen. So what do I do during my cool-off weeks? I try to do the exact opposite of what I do during the sprints. And that's a good framework to use when you are thinking about choosing a restful, rejuvenating activity for yourself. It should be the opposite of your day-to-day living. So if you're a salesperson who talks to 20 people a day, for you, watching Netflix at night alone without talking to anyone can be a very restful and rejuvenating activity. But if you work from home, if you stare at the screen, maybe you're like a data analyst and you don't talk to people, you just stare at the screen all day long, then staring at another screen at night, being alone, it's kind of like doing the same thing. So for a data analyst, going out, meeting people, doing a team sport can be a more rejuvenated activity. For me, the cool off week is kind of doing the opposite from what I do during the sprint. My Scrum board is empty. I do it on purpose. It's completely empty. I remove all the sticky notes after I'm done the sprint retrospective. I have no schedule, no plan, no to-do lists. I go for longer walks or bike rides. I have longer lunches if I want to. I do whatever I feel like doing. I do spontaneous things because during my sprints, I try to limit my spontaneity because I have my sprint goals and I focus on them. And all the projects and ideas that pop up, I put them in the backlog. But during my cool-off week, if I have a great idea and I feel like doing it, I go and do it. The opposite of my sprint behavior. I give myself full permission to start something and not finish it. There is no definition of done for the spontaneous projects. I can abandon them and not feel bad about it. I usually do more things for which I enjoy the process, not so much the outcome. I can go to the movies in the middle of the day. I can meet with friends for lunch and have a longer lunch. Sometimes I like to plan my vacations around my cool-off weeks. So for example, my last cool-off week, we went to Italy. It was a nice way to have a cool-off week. Definitely did something very different from my sprint. I can beautify a space in my home, declutter something, or make something more beautiful. I wrote a post about it recently on the benefits of making your space beautiful. But in short, I just do whatever I feel like doing. It's very spontaneous, chaotic, not organized, doesn't follow a plan. It's awesome. And it releases all the tension that gets built up during the sprint. And the benefits that I see from having done the cool-off week for the last 10 years is that, well, first of all, and the biggest one is that I haven't had a single case of severe burnout or depression or overwhelm for the last 10 years, even though I did a lot of things, but thankfully I did not have to go through any of that. And I think the reason why is because my initial experiment, my hypothesis of, but what if I have the breaks on my own terms? I agree that breaks are necessary, but what if I have them scheduled on my own terms? This hypothesis have worked out and actually prevents the need to take bigger breaks if you don't accumulate the break debt. If you pay it off on time, you don't have to take the longer break. At least that's how it is in my life. It allows me to rest, most of all emotionally. And it allows me to rest guilt-free. I know for a lot of us, the idea of resting guilt-free is kind of revolutionary and unheard of. But when you have it, like when you have scheduled breaks and you worked really hard for the sprint before, you can have a restful week guilt-free. It's possible. I recommend you try it. It's very refreshing. Also, another benefit is that by the end of the week, I'm actually looking forward to the next sprint. It's kind of the same idea when you go on vacation, especially if it's a 2 to 3 week vacation. During the first week, you're ecstatic about this whole idea that you don't have to work, that you're just relaxing and chilling and not doing anything. You're just happy about this whole situation. Week 2 rolls around and you're kind of like, starting to miss your regular routine at home. And if you're there for 3 weeks, during the third week, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to come home and like actually do something productive with my life. I kind of look forward to going back to work. And same idea here during the cool-off week. The first 2 to 3 days, you're like, oh, this is awesome. I can wake up whenever I want. I have no schedule. I have no plan. Awesome. The last few days, you're like, kind of looking forward to some structure and actually getting my hands dirty and doing the work. You're actually quite excited about the upcoming sprint. And of course, as I mentioned, the whole reason why I created the cool-off week is to satisfy my inner rebellion. During this cool-off week, she's fed, she is satisfied, she can go to sleep for the next 3 weeks and not ruin my sprint. And I'm not afraid of having some emotional revolution in the middle of the sprint because my inner rebellion wants to come out. No, she is sleeping. And we can focus and have a good, calm, focused, disciplined sprint. Also, during the cool-off week, some interesting projects can get done. As I said, I do spontaneous things. Whatever I feel like doing, I do that. And oftentimes, these things are actually quite nice things to do. For example, recently, during my cool-off week, I was doing the bare minimum amount of work. I had to check something on the Monthly Method website. And while I was browsing there, I was like, I'm so tired of this design. Like, I no longer find it beautiful. I don't like my homepage. I don't like the color scheme. It no longer reflects who I am. And there was like this spontaneous burst to actually redesign the website for monthlymethod.com. And if it happened during the sprint, I would have put it in the backlog. I would not have allowed myself to jump into this because I would have had some sprint goals I was working on. But since it was my cool-off week, I was like, okay, sure, why not do that? And I spent the next 2 or 3 days working on it. Thankfully, like my emotional desire to change the website lasted long enough for me to actually finish it. I was able to redesign the website and redesign my homepage. And It happened in like 2-3 days, and I'm quite happy that it happened. And so things like that can happen. The cool off weeks also give me time to think and daydream. So because I'm not like working all the time, I actually have the time to step back and have a wider view of my life. And because I go on longer walks and longer bike rides, I have the time and space to think about things. And oftentimes I have quite meaningful insights that happen during my cool off weeks that improve my life going forward. Another benefit that I noticed is that cool off weeks started to serve as intermittent rewards for my efforts that do not necessarily bring immediate results. I like to say that our brains hate infinite timelines. Whenever we have to do something for a long period of time or indefinitely, our brains are like, oh, no way. Imagine running a marathon that doesn't have a finish line. It's like, how many people would agree to do that? Zero, I think. But a lot of the things that we are working on as adults, they don't have an immediate payback. A lot of upfront effort for the to actually see the outcome. And that's a very difficult situation for our brains to be in. So it doesn't see the carrot in front of it. The carrot is far, 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 far away. And yet you kind of want to keep going. And so the cool off weeks are kind of like this rewards, this little carrots that are placed in front of you. Yes, they're not necessarily the direct outcomes of your effort, but what I've noticed is that our brains, that like at least my brain, doesn't really care. As long as there is a carrot. And the way I tell my brain is like, hey, listen, we're gonna work really hard for 3 weeks. But then, listen, we're gonna have the time of our lives. We're gonna rest for the entire week. We're not gonna do anything, no schedules, no deadlines. We're gonna have it all. And that's the carrot. And then, like you give the carrot, you enjoy your time off, and then you can come back and continue working hard till the next carrot, till the next carrot. And then eventually looking back, I'm like, okay, well, I just did 10 years of this carrot after carrot after carrot. So it's possible to go for a long period of time of consistent effort with this approach, because this serves as an intermittent reward. And the final outcome is that it allows me to have a nice rhythm in my life. Sprint, break, sprint, break, sprint, break. And that's how you build momentum. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just you live in this rhythm. The object in motion stays in motion. The momentum builds up, and you just keep doing this rhythm, this cycle, and things just get a lot easier. I think the problem of our generation is that we disregard the power of this rhythm, where you build the rhythm and you just stick with it. We always try to look for the next big thing, for the next method, framework, and we're like, start, stop. Start, stop. This stopping and looking for the new path and then trying the new path, it wastes so much time and energy. I'm a true believer in building this certain rhythm to your life. It's the same way a nice song is not possible without a good rhythm, a good beat. And if you watched some of the videos on this channel about Agile, about these rituals, and you like the idea, but you just can't get into the rhythm, I want to invite you in the community that I will be launching in January. So we're gonna do all this agile rituals together. Backlog setup, sprint planning, daily stand-up, deep work sessions, sprint retrospectives, cool-off weeks. You're going to follow the same schedule, my schedule, 3 weeks of sprint and 1 cool-off week, and we do it. I want you to get into the rhythm and actually see, like experience it firsthand, what it can do in your life. I think we have more than enough information. Information is not the solution. In this membership, I want to help us actually do the things we want to do. Not talk about them, not plan them, not write about them, actually do. And every decision that I have made about this community was with this lens in mind. It's like, what do I need to do to increase the likelihood of my members actually doing the thing? I have employed all the mental tricks and manipulations in a way that guarantees that results. That if you become a member, I will do everything in my power, all the tricks that I know, that I have experienced in my life, that I have used in building my career, in managing the team, in building software, then in finishing my master's degree earlier, in launching my business. Every single tool that I find useful in actually doing the thing, not talking about it, doing the thing. Every single tool that I think was helpful to me, I build it into the membership. All the agile rituals that I've talked about on this channel, we do them. We do it together. I truly believe in this, and I want you to come and try it for yourself and help me build this community together with you. And it's going to be another way to showcase how to build things the agile way. We start perfectly imperfect with the core functionality in mind. And then we actually treat the community as an agile product we're all working together on. And we shape it up in a way that works for all of us. I'm not being the dictator here, telling you what to do and how to do it. We are shaping it up together with one bigger goal in mind, to actually do the things we want to do. I hope you join us. But for now, happy sprinting. See you next time.